So, you've probably heard of the Aswang. Maybe you've seen the stories. A beautiful woman by day who at night detaches her upper torso from her legs, sprouts giant wings, and flies off into the darkness, her intestines dangling beneath her. She hunts for pregnant women, lands on their roofs, and uses a long proboscis-like tongue to suck the fetus right from the womb. It is terrifying, and it's just one of the creatures that haunts the Filipino night. You've got werehorses that make you get lost in the woods, baby-like creatures that lure you to your doom, and giants living in trees. Here's the million-dollar question. Why? Why is Filipino folklore so dark, so visceral? And why do these monsters feel so personal? What if I told you these monsters are a secret map? A map to the country's oldest gods, its greatest heroes, and its deepest, darkest fears. Get ready, because we are diving into the origin of Filipino myths and folklore. So in the last few parts, we've seen how the Philippines is a story of collision. The land, the language, the food, the customs, all of it is a fusion of an indigenous Austronesian base with waves of foreign influence. The mythology, it is the perfect example of this collision. To understand the monsters, you first have to understand the world they were born into. Long before any colonizers arrived, the pre-colonial Philippines was a world buzzing with spirits. The ancient Filipinos were animists. They believed that everything had a spirit. Trees, rocks, rivers, animals, all of it was alive and animated by spirits called anitus or Diwatas. These Diwata, a term that actually comes from the Sanskrit Devata, meaning deity, weren't just fairies. They were powerful, godlike beings, nymphs and nature spirits. They were the guardians of the natural world. You didn't just walk into a forest and cut down a tree. You had to ask permission from the Anito of that tree. You didn't just cross a river. You showed respect to the Diwata of that river. If you respected them, they might bless you. If you disrespected them, they would absolutely punish you. And who was at the very top? For the Tagalogs, it was the supreme god, the creator of the universe, Bathala Maykapal. Bathala was the grand conserver of the universe, the caretaker of the world. But here's the aha moment. You didn't really pray to Bathala. He was too great, too mighty, living in the sky. If you needed help, you prayed to your local Anito or Dewata. They were the assistants, the ministers of Bathala, and they were the ones who would go and speak to him on your behalf. This was the source code of Filipino spirituality, a supreme creator, a world full of powerful nature spirits you had to respect, and your own ancestors who also became Anitos to guide you. It was a world of balance, respect, and, well, fear, because you did not want to tick off a Diwata. But this world wasn't just gods and spirits, it was also a world of monsters and the heroes who fought them. We are about to get into the really good stuff, the monsters and the Filipino superheroes who hunted them. Our whole goal on this channel is to take these huge, complex histories and make them simple and unforgettable. If you love that aha moment, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It's a tiny click, but it genuinely lets us keep making these stories. Okay, you ready? Let's meet the monsters. So you've got this world of powerful spirits, but you've also got things lurking in the dark. Let's start with one of the most famous, the Tikbalang. This is the Filipino werehorse. But here's the first dopamine breadcrumb. It's not a centaur. A centaur is a man's torso on a horse's body. The Tikbalang is a reverse centaur, a tall, bony humanoid body with the head and hooves of a horse. Its limbs are so long that when it squats, its knees go above its head. The Tikbalang is a trickster. It lurks in the mountains and forests, often living in giant balete trees, and it loves to mess with travelers. It will use its magic to make you get lost. You'll walk for hours only to end up in the exact same spot you started. So how do you beat it? How do you break the spell? It's simple. You have to wear your shirt inside out. Yeah, turn your shirt inside out and the Tikbalang's magic is broken. But here is the real aha moment. Where did this horse-headed monster come from? Think about it. In part 1, we learned the first humans walked to the Philippines. The Tikbalang existed in pre-colonial folklore, but it was just a forest ghost. There were no horses in the Philippines before the Spanish arrived in the 1500s. So the Tikbalang got its horse head after the Spanish showed up. It's a literal collision, an ancient indigenous forest spirit fused with the image of the colonizers' frightening, powerful animal, the horse. And that brings us to the most terrifying monster of all, the Aswang. Aswang is a general term for a whole category of evil, shape-shifting creatures. They can be vampires, ghouls, or were-dogs. But the most famous, the one from our intro, is the Manananggal. By day, she's a beautiful, normal woman. She's your neighbor. She's the quiet woman at the market. But at night, she goes to a private place and detaches her upper torso from her waist, grows leathery wings, and flies off, leaving her lower half standing there. She is a truly bizarre, self-segmenting monster, and she hunts for the most vulnerable, pregnant women and their unborn children. So, in a world with Tikbalangs and Manananggalals, who fights back? The heroes. The stories of these heroes were told in epic poems, chanted from memory for days. Let's look at the Biag ni Lam-ang, the life of Lam-ang, the great epic of the Ilocano people. This guy is the Filipino Hercules. His story is wild. When his mother is giving birth, she can't, so she calls for a midwife, who is an old tattooed man. Lam-ang is born, and he can already talk. He immediately asks where his father is. His mom says his dad, Don Juan, went to fight the Igorot tribe and never came back, so Lam-ang, still a baby, vows revenge. At just 9 months old, he arms himself with charms and goes to find his father's killers. He finds the Igorot tribe celebrating. His father's head is on a pike. Lam-ang, in a rage, challenges the entire tribe to a duel. He slays them all with his spear. He goes home and, well, he's really filthy, so he goes to the Empyrean River to bathe. The dirt from his hair is so potent it kills all the fish in the river. Then he decides to get married. He hears of the beautiful Inez Canoyan. He travels to his town accompanied by his 2 magical pets, a white rooster and a white dog. He finds Inez's house surrounded by suitors. To get her attention, he has his rooster crow. It crows so powerfully, a nearby house collapses. Inez looks out. Then he has his dog bark, and the house rises back up, good as new. He marries Inez, but there is a tradition. The new husband must dive for a rarang fish. Lam-ang knows this will be his death. He has a dream he'll be eaten by a giant fish called the burkakang. And he gets swallowed, but he has his magical pets. Inez gathers his bones, the rooster flaps its wings, the dog barks, and Lam-ang is resurrected, good as new. Then you have the Ibalong epic from the Bicol region. It's not just one hero. It's 3 heroes who build a civilization. First, the hero Baltog arrives. He's the first to plant crops, but a tendeag, a monstrous giant boar, keeps eating them. Baltog wrestles the boar and kills it. Then the hero Handiong arrives. He has to fight all the monsters. He battles giant winged sharks, giant crocodiles, and a serpent woman named Oriol. After he defeats them, he establishes laws, introduces agriculture, and builds a society. But one monster remains, Rabot, a half-man, half-beast giant who can turn people to stone. So the third hero, Bantong, is sent. He doesn't just attack, he spies on the monster. He learns its habits. He discovers that Rabot loves to sleep. Bantong waits until the giant is in a deep sleep, sneaks in and kills him with a single stab. Wisdom over brawn. These stories show a world full of gods, heroes, and terrifying personal monsters. But that still doesn't answer the biggest question. Why the Aswang? This is the climax. This is the lesson. Why the Aswang? Why the Manananggal? Why is the scariest monster in the Philippines not an invader, not an other, but your neighbor? Think back to part 4. When we talked about Filipino values, we talked about kapwa, the shared self. We talked about pakisama, getting along, and hiya, social propriety. Filipino society, especially in small, pre-colonial barangays, was built on absolute community trust and harmony. Survival depended on your neighbors. So, what is the greatest, most terrifying threat in a society built on total community trust? The traitor from within. The Aswang is you. It's your neighbor, the beautiful woman, the friendly villager who secretly preys on the community, who targets the most vulnerable, the sick and pregnant women, the very future of the community. The Aswang is a psychological monster. It is the living embodiment of the culture's deepest, most primal fear, betrayal. The fear that someone inside your shared self, your kapwa, is secretly a monster. And then, the final collision. The Spanish colonizers arrive in the 1500s. They bring Catholicism. They want to replace the indigenous beliefs, Bathala, the Diwata, the Anitos, with their one true God. How do you do that? You don't just erase the old gods, you rebrand them. The Spanish friars saw this rich world of spirits and monsters, and they used it. They mapped their own Christian devil and demons onto these local beliefs. The Diwata and the Anita, those nature spirits and ancestors who were once respected and worshipped, were demoted. They were turned into evil, mischievous demons to be feared. The Aswang and the Manananggal, they became the ultimate symbols of indigenous evil, of witchcraft, and of female power that wasn't controlled by the new patriarchal religion. Here's the aha moment. The Spanish amplified the monsters to destroy the gods. They used the Filipinos' own fear of the Aswang as a weapon to make them abandon their Diwata. And here is the final beautiful lesson. It didn't work. Yes, the Philippines became a Catholic country, but the old world survived. It survived in these stories. The gods, the spirits, and the monsters, they all just got mixed together. They live on as folklore. They hide in plain sight in the mountains, in the forests, and in the scary stories Lolas tell their grandchildren. The myths and monsters of the Philippines are the ultimate story of collision. They are an ancient animist world full of gods and heroes that was invaded, demonized, and rebranded, but never erased. These stories are a living, breathing map of the Filipino soul. And just like the myths, the name of the country itself is a story of a collision, a story of a Spanish king who never even saw the islands, and the ancient pre-colonial names that were almost lost. That's next time, in Part 6, The Origin of the Country's Name. Trust me, it's a story you don't want to miss. Thanks for watching. What part of Filipino folklore blows your mind the most? Is it the Tikbalang getting its horse head from the Spanish? The fact that Lam-ang's hair was so dirty it killed all the fish in a river? Or the psychological secret behind the Aswang, the fear of the enemy within? Let me know your favorite myth or monster down in the comments. This was part 5. If you like this, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss part 6, the origin of the country's name. Trust me, it's a story you don't want to miss.